Hey beginners, today we're going to take three fundamental open chords, the A chord, the D chord, and the open E chord, A, D, and E, 1, 4, 5. We're going to take those three chords, and I'm going to give you 18 more for a total of 21 chords, all in that family with a simple common manipulation of the strings that you fret. So you don't want to miss it, so coming up. Hey everyone, Paul here, PZ Guitar, your virtual practice partner. And today, this is a really cool thing here. And it all has to do with simple chords and how simple chords can open up a whole world to you. And in this particular case, it's the structure of the way the guitar is tuned and the relationship between those three particular chords, the A chord, the D chord, and the E chord, and how you can manipulate them to form boatloads of chords. So I'm going to give you 21 chords. We're going to do seventh chords. We're going to do major seventh chords. We're going to do minor chords. We're going to do suspended four chords. We're going to do minor seventh chords and the ridiculously named minor major seven chords. So I'll get to that in a little bit. But anyway, let's figure out how we're going to do that. So let's get ready. So the way this is going to work, and the way this works for the A chord, the D chord, and the E chord, there are some commonalities here that I need to point out to you. For each of these three chords, for the A chord, there's only three notes, there's only three strings that are actually fretted. It's a mute, and then it's an A open, open, and then it's 2, 2, 2, open. That's the open A chord. Only three notes are fretted. The D, the G, and the B. Those are the only three notes that are the only three strings that are fretted. On the open D chord, it's going to be open, and then it's fret number 2, fret number 3, fret number 2. But again, it's just three strings that are fretted: the index, ring, and middle. And similarly, for the E chord, it's just three strings that are fretted. It's open, 2, 2, 1, open, open. And it's going to be, and that's the fact that we're going to leverage. We're going to leverage, it's just for each of those chords, just three strings. A thick string, a middle string, and a thin string. So let's turn the open A chord, it's going to be on the screen. Let's turn that into a 7 chord, or a 7th chord, or a dominant 7th chord. So how we're going to do this, we're going to take the open A chord, and we're going to take the string that you fret in the middle fretted string, whatever string that may be for the A, D, or E chord. In this case, it's going to be the G string. Right now, it's on fret number 2. It's on fret number 2, and we're going to reduce that or go back towards the nut by 2 frets. So fret number 2 becomes fret number 0, and now that's now an A7. That's an A dominant 7. That's an A7 chord. A. Okay, now let's go form our D chord. And do the same thing there. Take the string, whatever string is in the middle. In this case, it's the B string. It's on fret number 3. It's on fret number 3. Go back 2 frets towards the nut. And now it's going to go on fret number 1. Well, in order to do that, I have to change my grip here a little bit. So here is open D. And now let's do D7. The difference is just that this finger, this middle string has been moved towards the nut 2 frets. Here's D and D7. Let's do the same manipulation on the open E chord. The open E chord, the middle note in this case is going to be on the D string. I'm going to move it back 2 frets towards the nut. Right now it's on fret number 2, so now it becomes an open string. And now, so open E becomes now E7. Okay, so we simply just manipulate that middle string. We go back towards the nut 2 frets to turn the open major chord, open A, D, and E, to a D, and E7. Okay, now let's take that middle note and let's only reduce it by 1 fret. So we're going to take the A chord, open A, that middle note, that middle fret, that middle thing, we're only going to move it back 1 fret this time. So it kind of looks like, you know, that D7 shape. Open A, and now A major 7. Let's do the same thing on the D chord. We're only going to take the middle string, in this case that's your ring finger, and move it towards the nut, just 1 fret. And so now everyone's going to live on that 2nd fret, and I elect to use the little mini bar. That's a pretty chord. So the D chord, and now the D major 7. Similarly, let's now do the open E chord. And now we're going to take this fret number 2 and move it back to fret number 1. And in order to do that comfortably, I'm going to change my grip here a little bit. That's now an E major 7. All I'm doing is that middle note is now towards the nut 1 fret. Okay, so now I've given you 6 new chords based upon the open E. So you have now 9 chords at your belt. Oh, by the way, very, very, very important. All of this is in a PDF that I have that you can download and have this as a reference guide to add it to your ever-growing PZ guitar library. So if you don't want to take notes right now, that's fine. Download the PDF. Okay, so we know the open chords. So, and we also have, we just did the D7s, we just did the 7th chords, we did the major 7th chord. Let's do something a little bit more familiar. Let's do minor chords. So minor chords here, we're going to be focusing on the thinnest string. And to turn the open major chord into a minor chord for A, D, and E only, for A, D, and E, I'm going to take the thinnest string and go back towards the nut. I'm going to reduce it by 1 fret. So right now, everyone's living on the 2nd fret. And so now I'm going to take the thinnest string, which in this case is the B string, and I'm going to move it back 1 fret to fret number 1. Okay? So that's... And similarly, let's now do the D chord. The D chord, remember open D? The thinnest string is on fret number 2. The high E string is on fret number 2. I got to go to fret number 1. In order to do that comfortably, I'm going to change my grip. And now that becomes... And now E major to E minor. Again, the thinnest string back 1 fret. It's already on fret number 1, so you take away 1 fret, it becomes open. Open, minor. I think that's fantastic, the relationship between these particular chords and how you can manipulate the fundamental open major chord and turn it into a 7th, a major 7th, a minor chord, all in a similar manipulation. You either you take the middle string and move it back 1 fret, move it back 2 frets, or take the thinner string and move it back 1 fret. Let's continue on. And now let's do what I call the pinky exercise. Let's create suspended 4 chords. So let's take a look at our A chord, A major, and in this case we're going to increase the thinnest string. We're going to go towards the bridge, away from the nut, and we're going to increase by 1 fret. So right now the thinnest string that I'm fretting on the A chord is on fret number 2, and so I'm going to put my pinky down on that B string. That's now an A suspended 4. So now let's go D chord, open D. Same thing, I'm going to use my pinky. Right now the thinnest string is on fret number 2. I'm going to put my pinky down on fret number 3. Suspended 4. E chord, I think you know the drill. E chord, I'm going to put my pinky down on that G string, if I get my pinky down. E suspended 4. So now we have, we're up to, we have major, we have 7, we have major 7, we have minor, and we just did suspended. So that's now 15 chords. Hey, this is a bargain. Now we can manipulate 2 strings at the same time. Why not? So let's do the minor 7th chord. So remember how we made a minor chord. The minor chord is I moved the thinnest string back 1 fret, right? And the middle string was back 2 frets. So the middle string here is on fret number 2, so that goes open. And now the thinnest string that I'm fretting was on fret 2, goes to fret 1. I'm going to change my grip a little bit, and I'm going to use my index finger. So the A major, and now A minor 7th. Okay, same manipulation on that D chord. Here's the D. The middle string goes back 2 frets. It's on 3, so it goes to 1. And my thin string goes from 2 to 1. So now I'm going to change my grip again. I'm going to cover frets number 1 on the B and the high E string, and put my ring finger down. And so now this becomes a minor 7. Similarly, for the E chord, E to go to E minor 7, and this is going to be fantastic. This is going to be the easiest chord you'll ever strum, apart from just open strings. So we have our E chord, and so our middle string goes back 2, it's on 2, so it goes open, and our thinnest string goes back 1, it's on 1, so I'm left with just the A string, 2nd fret. So here's A, E major, E minor 7. That's the easiest chord you'll ever make. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the 5th one. Let's do one more. So let's talk about the A minor major 7. Minor major? Clarence. Roger. Hey, put a reference in the comment as to what movie I just referred to. Anyway, the A minor major 7. So, well, here's our A chord. In order to make it minor, I take the thinnest string, I go back 1 fret. So I'm going to go put I'm going to cover the 1st fret here. And the middle fret goes back 1 fret. So I'm going to change my grip here to this. I'm going to use my ring and then my index and my middle. You use whatever is comfortable, but I want 2, 1, 1. That's a minor chord with a major 7th. Here is A major, and now for the minor major 7. For the D chord, the thin string goes back 1 fret, so I'm gonna use my index finger for that. My middle string goes from 3, goes back by 1, so I'm gonna make this kind of a shape here. It's gonna be on the screen. That is the D minor with a major 7th. Here's the D, and now let's do the E minor major 7. So here's our E chord. We make it minor by getting rid of that thinnest string by 1, and we move our middle string back by 1. So I'm going to use my index finger for this. And so that's now the E minor major 7. Again, all of this, including really nice diagrams of each family of chords, are going to be in the PDF that you can download. And so stick around for some tips. And the tips here, you know what, for a beginner, these are really good things to learn, at least the mechanics of it. It's not such a big deal to go from major to minor or major to D7. It's a question of just thinking about, is it the thin string, thick string? Is it the middle string? Is it the thin string? 1 fret, 2, and it works the same. And you could now expand your horizons here. It's a really cool way of going from 3 chords to 21 chords. And so lastly, for a thank you, I want to thank all the people who watch and subscribe. I crossed 1,000 subscribers. You know, I didn't think it was going to happen. But I appreciate the fact that there is a very, very, very small audience, but according to the statistics, the people who subscribe do tune back in, and so that's always a good thing, and I appreciate that fact. And then you might notice, it's nice. I'll talk about this in some video in the future, but thanks a lot. Well, I'm proud to be back. More videos to come. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. You know those buttons that everyone seems to ask for. But I appreciate it. Remember to please download the document. The document here. It's about 8 or 9 pages because I do each family of chords here, and I tell you the before and the after, and let you know how it's done, and a nice little synopsis page. So it's really a good document to have, rather than doing little screenshots. And it's good to be back, and I'm glad you're going to out here and practice. More things are coming, and so I'll see you all soon. So keep practicing. Hey everyone. Up here is going to be a video that you might want to play next. Or down here is going to be a playlist that would be a good thing to do to get more practice along the same subject lines. So until then, play this one or play this one. It's up to you. Whatever you want.